Have you ever felt nervous or anxious? In fact, some of us more than others. It is unbelievable how many people suffer from mental health each year. This speech is to inform you about mental health and how you can help when you are struggling with it. So starting off with my credibility statement, given the time spent researching this topic that I personally struggle with, I hope to help to reach out to others. Next, down to my thesis statement, mental health is a normal thing that most people struggle with. And then going down to my main points, my first main point is that mental illnesses are not something that you should be ashamed of. My second main point is that mental illnesses are treatable and you can receive help to reduce your problems. And my third main point is that mental health should be something that you should focus on and not ignore. So going into my first main point of mental illnesses are not something that you should be ashamed of, coming from the National Institute of Mental Health in 2019, mental illnesses are very common in the US. In fact, 1 in 5 adults struggle from mental illnesses each year. However, some are more open than others. And then, coming from the Worldometer data, which was just updated in July of 2021, 51.5 million people in the US suffer from a mental illness, and that is about a sixth of the population. When saying the numbers, you really do realize how many people are in the same boat as you. Next, coming from the National Library of Medicine, which is by Paola Pedrelli in October of 2015, mental illness is more common in college students than anybody else. College is honestly a crazy time in one's life. You just transition from high school into college, which is new education, as well as you may be getting a job, or you may be leaving your parents and what you've known for the past 20 years. While this is not true for most of us, it also is just a harder education, which just stresses college students out. So then, coming from the Suicide Prevention Resource Center, which is updated every year, so it has been updated in 2021, mental health in college students tends to affect their education and hurt their academics. So because of this new life and this new thing that college students have been handed, they tend to ignore what they are currently learning and try and get a grasp on life, because it truly is crazy. So that is it for my first main point. So now that I have talked about how mental illnesses are not something that you should be ashamed of, I will talk about how mental illnesses are treatable and you can receive help to reduce your problems. So this is coming from the Mental Health America. There are many different forms of treatment. So these treatments can be group treatments, these treatments can be by yourself. There are just many different types of mental health problems, and depending on the ones that you have, there can be different treatments, there can be different therapies, there can be different medicines, whatever fits you personally and whatever you find that works best for you. So then with that, coming from the University of Health Services from the University of Michigan, and this information was adapted from the National Mental Health Association and is updated every year, so it has been updated in 2021, you can help your mental health by yourself, whether that is focusing on yourself and changing things in your everyday life, whether that be drinking more water or exercising or getting up early. Just those focusing on yourself activities can raise your mood and help you with those problems. Next, talking to your family and friends. While you may not think of it, your mom might be suffering from the same thing, or your grandmother or your great-grandmother may be suffering from the same thing, or your best friend. You just do not know. So by bringing this up to your family or friends, they may be able to help you and tell you that they have been struggling with the same thing. As well as vocalizing your problems can just be a huge lift off your shoulders. I know personally with me, when I have anxiety, I just go to my mom and I'm like, this is what's happening, and just saying it, and it's just, I sometimes realize, like, why are you having anxiety about this? You're fine. And I feel automatically better, which isn't always the case, but sometimes that does help me. So that is it for my second point. So now that I have talked about how mental illnesses are treatable and how you can receive help to reduce your problems, I will talk about how mental health should be something that you should focus on and not ignore. So the nervousness in your tummy could very well be anxiety. So coming from Avora, which was published on May 5th in 2020, and Avora is a mental health ministry. Ignoring your symptoms of your disorder can make them worse. So by you thinking, oh, this nervousness or oh, this stress is just stress, whatever, you can make that worse and put a bigger weight on your shoulders, and it can be too late when you realize, and then you are forced to seek medical attention. Next, By ignoring your problems, some people tend to go to substances to help, whether that be alcohol or drugs or just something else. You may find a substance and that substance becomes addicting because that is the thing that is helping you every day. Whether you are stressed out and you're like, oh, well, if I just have this drink, I'm not stressed out anymore. And then that drink becomes to 2 drinks, and then so on and so forth. You become reliant on the substance, and you are getting hurt in the long run. As well as untreated mental health problems can affect your physical health. I know personally I have had a depression room before, and some may not know what a depression room is, some may know what a depression room is, but it is very popular, just affecting little things in your physical, everyday life and everyday health by you feeling sad one day where you just don't get out of bed. That's affecting your health, as well as you getting too anxious to go take a shower alone because you're worried, you're washing your hair, things like that. Those can affect your mental health. Yeah, I meant your physical health because of your mental health. So, now that I have talked about how mental health should be something that you should focus on and not ignore, I will now close my speech. So the restatement of my thesis is that mental health disorders are common and tend to be pushed away, although they shouldn't. So, my main points again are that, number 1, mental illnesses are something that you should not be ashamed of. Number 2, mental illnesses are treatable and you can receive help to reduce your problems. And number 3, mental health should be something that you should focus on and not ignore. So, coming back to the beginning where we just started, have you ever felt anxious or nervous or alone? Think of everything I just told you and try to grasp little things from it and help those feelings. So to tie everything up and wrap this up, about 8 million people die each year because of a mental illness, whether that's treated or untreated. So next time you think that you just can't handle it anymore and you don't want to talk to somebody about it, maybe think about those statistics and consider what you can do to yourself to help you. Thank you.